Thank you, Jennifer, and I want to thank the Clean Energy Project for having me participate in their Energy Choice workshop. I appreciate the opportunity. And it's great to see all my friends in the audience. Many people I can see, all I'm sure that are very much supporters of the Clean Energy Initiative. And so I hope there's some skeptics out there. I hope there are people in the audience that are still a little skeptical, because I want to speak to them specifically. And I want to make two primary points before you move on with your panel, and you've got a great panel for this program during the noon hour. The first point I want to make is that I think Nevada does have the opportunity to be the future of energy technology and to be the future of green, clean energy resources. I talk quite a bit with colleagues around the country, and one lady I like to exchange views with is a good friend of mine, Lorraine Akiba, who is a commissioner from Hawaii. And she's always talking about she's delivering a postcard from the future, Hawaii being the future of energy and energy policy, given that they have over 17% penetration of solar energy in Hawaii now. There's been a great uptake there, given the great resource they have and the great opportunities they have in Hawaii. So Lorraine's very proud of that and likes to talk about it and brag about it. And I think we certainly can brag in Nevada as well, because in Nevada we have, as we all know, tremendous solar resources in southern Nevada and in northern Nevada as well. We also have the largest potential for geothermal resources of any state in the nation, and we have substantial wind resources as well. So some of you may know Hawaii has recently announced they're going to go to 100% renewables. Well, I think that's not an unachievable goal for Nevada either. But I don't think that goal is achievable unless Nevada does go to a true wholesale and retail competitive market with full energy choice for all consumers in Nevada. And that's what this initiative does. It enables entrepreneurs, companies like my own Solar City, and multiple other entities to come into the state and to provide the citizens in that state with the choices that they desire to provide for the energy services that they need to provide for their businesses and for their families, and to give those choices for clean energy in a low-cost, efficient way. So I think this initiative really can do that and will do that for Nevadans. Second point I'd like to make before turning it over to the panel is that we all started to do this before in Nevada. And I was there in 1999, in addition to the background that Jennifer gave you of the things that I've done in the past. A number of years ago, back in 1999, I was the staff counsel to the Nevada Public Utilities Commission. And during that 1999 legislative session, there was an effort to deregulate or restructure, I think is a much better word, restructure the entire electric system in Nevada through a legislative initiative rather than through a ballot initiative as we're doing now. And in fact, we went very far down that road. We were at the point where the utility company was having to break up and sell off their generation so that it could be competitive and provide for competitive services throughout the line of services that now are provided by the monopoly utility in Nevada. It was right then. It was the right choice then. It's the right choice now. What happened? Why didn't we go there? Well, we had a little thing come along called Enron. We had a number of actors in the Western market act in ways that were not only disruptive, but in fact fraudulent. They were making representations in the market that were ultimately causing that market to be manipulated in very significant ways. Why were they doing this? Well, they were trying to maximize their profits. Why weren't they stopped quicker? Well, because there was no cop on the beat at the time. The FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, that I was chairman of for 4.5 years, at that time in 1999, had 3 to 4 people in a very small office in enforcement that was looking at the wholesale energy markets in the country. They had no enforcement authority over fraud manipulation specifically. They had to look under their general powers of the Federal Power Act. They had no significant fining authority. Their fining authority was $10,000 a day, which the Enron people and the other people engaged in those fraudulent activities were making 100 times that in a day in their fraudulent activities. It meant nothing to them, and they had really no significant oversight in the markets themselves. That has all significantly changed since that time. In those 17 years since the Enron debacle, FERC has created an enforcement office, partially under the time that I was chairman and actually prior to me being chairman, based upon the 2005 Energy Policy Act that gave FERC significant authority of substantial size and substantial quantity and abilities. Ultimately, there are over 200 people in the FERC enforcement office who now have attorneys, have analysts, have economists who are all capable and willing and able to provide significant enforcement activities. In addition to the people in the FERC enforcement office themselves, there's also enforcement people in each wholesale market. So in the California ISO, in the Midwest ISO, and PJM, and all these markets where these actors participate, that are now embedded in those markets, market monitors who oversee those markets on a daily basis, in fact on an hourly basis, reviewing the markets to ensure that there is as little fraud and manipulation as possible. Do we have no fraud at all in those markets whatsoever? No. There still are people who, think they're the smartest guys in the room. There are still people who try to do things to manipulate those markets and take money out of consumers' pockets. But I'll tell you, FERC and that enforcement office has the ability to shut them down very quickly. We shut down Barclays. We shut down JP Morgan. They were acting in ways in the California market while I was chairman of FERC that was not appropriate, and we fined them hundreds of millions of dollars. And as a result, we sent money back to consumers, and we basically negated the fraud that was acting in those markets at those times. So I can't tell you that, if you enter into a completely restructured market in Nevada, that the Nevada consumers will never see any fraud or manipulation that will be perpetrated on them. But I can tell you that it will be minimized to a very small degree, if any occurs whatsoever. And I can tell you that you have a federal enforcement agency that is the best in the world, bar none, that can minimize those types of fraud from occurring. So let's look at the other side of it. And I tried to do everything I could do to expand markets when I was at FERC. Why? Because number one, I knew that we had the authority to minimize fraud and ensure that the markets could operate fairly in an open, transparent way to provide consumer benefits. And secondly, I knew from the data that we were able to gain through looking at how those markets operated, that in fact, by having those markets open, and by having those markets operate in an effective, efficient, and competitive manner, we were in fact saving consumers literally billions of dollars. In fact, I can tell you in one instance, in one market in PJM, which is the market in the Mid-Atlantic area, we looked at 1 week in the summer, and because those markets were competitive, we saved consumers over $230 million just in 1 week by ensuring that competitive providers could provide resources into those markets. So I have a great faith in markets, I have a great faith in competition, and I believe that competition will ultimately deliver those benefits to Nevada consumers if Nevada consumers choose to open it up. Thank you all, and have a good workshop.